somehow I'm ahead of my schedule. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel of crafting, crochet and knitting. My name is Nikki and welcome to my little yarniverse. So hello, welcome if you're new, welcome back if you're a returning viewer. We have been enjoying some absolutely glorious sunshine here over the last few days, but of course the second I put my camera out to record it decides to get overcast. So I apologise, hopefully the lighting's not too bad, but you may occasionally catch the glint of my light in my glasses, sorry about that. Yeah, so I just wanted to pop on and do a little short update on my finished objects, my remaining whips, and then plans to cast on something new. So let's get into it. So the first finished object is the one I'm wearing, which is the Revo. I showed you this last time and I spoke a lot about it in that video, so if you're interested then hop back a video. I'm not going to repeat myself. I only wanted to come on and say that it is finished. I did the hem, I wove in all the ends, and then I gave it a really good block, and it's very drapey, it fits brilliantly, and I had a surprising amount of yarn left, which I'm not sure whether I've put it back on my shelf yet or not. If it's not on my shelf, I don't know what I have done with it. I've slept since then, guys. But yes, that is the Revo. I will, yeah, come on, let's stand up and just very quickly show you it. I don't know how good this is going to be on camera given how close we are, but not the best shot, but you can see it was finished. Fits really nice, draping really lovely, very happy with that. So this is my first knitted t-shirt. Actually, that's not strictly speaking true, but it is the first which is like actually fit well. I made some like just boxy off the shoulder knitted t-shirts before, where you just knit a square and then towards the end, when it's at the length of your torso, you add a few stitches at most on both sides, and then you finish it up into like a very stubby T-shaped, and you do that on the front and on the back, and then you just seam like a few places up along the top so that it kind of grips to you. I've done those before, and at the time I was like, I liked them, but over time they did start to stretch and then they would try and pull off the shoulder. Then I lost weight, so I can't really wear them anymore. So yeah, this is now the new summer tee, ready for when the weather gets warmer. The next finished object I have to show you, I had barely started, but what is it, the phrase they're using now, locked in. I locked in on this one because I just really had it on my mind that I wanted to start getting through these, and that is a souvenir for my souvenir wall. So this is the Northern Ireland souvenir. We have the hexagons, which I showed you last time, and then I have sewn them all together. I made an extra one because I decided that 555 was, when I started adding this, it looked really weird, so I added this to make it symmetrical. So 565 now, and then I crocheted in here a mixture of double, triple crochet. It might just be called triple crochet in American terms. In UK I think it's double triple. Double treble, and then so I did a couple of those, a couple of trebles, and a couple of normal stitches. I think I did like a half treble as well in front of the normal doubles, and just, yeah, just to get the height going all the way along here, and then I came back on myself with one final stitch. And then I put this in my Ravelry, but I tried to pick up stitches for the next part and tried different stitches for the next part that I didn't really like. So I can put a photo in over here somewhere if I still have it to hand, and that is where I picked up the stitches so that the V-stitches that the crochet cast off would have left were pushed to the back. But I didn't like how that pushed just the row of changing stitch heights to the front of the work. And then I kept going with the cast on, and I was trying, I can't remember what it's like proper name, is it trellis? Might have been trellis stitch, where you're just kind of like wrapping one of your stitches around a lot when you're knitting. So yeah, I'm not explaining this very well at all. I swapped to knitting after this. So I picked up stitches along the cast off edge and then swapped to knitting, and I was trying to do what I think was called a trellis stitch, where you every now and then you wrap your yarn around your needle more times and then you slip it later, something like that, and it creates the sort of meshing of the Karakuri bridge that I was going for. But as I was working that up, I didn't like it. I didn't like that we were going from all green in the hexagons to all blue in the Karakuri bridge, and so I went hunting around through my Vogue knitting book. And I'm so glad I did, because I found this instead, which I think was something like cluster quilting. So yes, and then also after we realised we didn't like the trellis stitch and we ripped it back, we decided to just try picking the stitches up from the crochet cast on in such a way that it actually pushes that crochet cast on to the front, and it mimics ever so slightly a garter stitch. It kind of has a more defined edge to it, and I just think that's better. So I did that. I did a couple of rows of garter stitch as well to add another bump, and then went into the cluster quilting. And the great thing about that is that I could get that green back in there. It pops a lot more than just the texture alone. It kind of looks again like sort of rope against the background of the ocean, which I think I've got photos of that as well. And I finished with more garter stitch ridges, and then at that point I wove in most of my ends. I cast off, I wove in most of my ends, and then I gave it a really thorough block. So this has come out really well in terms of drape. The crochet hexagons were not that bad, but this whole area was pulling in by about an inch as the stockinette stitch sort of underneath this meshing was really trying to like curl back on itself, and blocking has opened that up massively. I was able to stretch it into being the width of the rest of the garment, and then once that had dried, I just did a crochet single, I'm swapping between American and UK terms here, a American single stitch and a UK double stitch crochet all the way around the edge, round the hexagons in the blue, and then back up the side. I then went along the top, made a little loop for the banner eventually to hang, went to this end, and then as I went back the other way at the top of the banner, I lifted up these extra big loops to go over the dowel. So this is because in the past I've done the dowel first, and then I've had to crochet a long chain from each end, from one end to the other end, and it doesn't sit as nicely on my wall. I think a little loop in the middle here will hopefully make that hang a bit better. So that's why I did the crochet stitch across the top first with my little chain in the middle, and then came back and did the dowel attachment. So yeah, hopefully that will do nicely. I do have just 2 more ends to weave in as a result of that change, but otherwise I'm really happy with how this came out. That's 2 souvenirs down, and yeah, I don't know whether to start another one straight away, whether to take a break and try something new. So yeah, that is my finished objects so far. So next I have a very quick whip update, and that's because I don't have many whips right now. Unfortunately, the item that I was going to make on my sewing machine for cosplay purposes is no longer necessary. An event got cancelled, and so on the one hand I'm glad that I'm not trying to do something really rushed. On the other, it's a little disappointing, but it means something's off my plate. And because I finished the Revaux and because I finished my Northern Ireland banner, the only thing that I currently have on the needles is my autumn skirt. So as you can see, it's just ticking away here, very stripy. It is still slightly too big. So I'm absolutely going to need elastic to cinch this in at the waist if I keep it. I don't know what to make really of this. I just feel like I've tried it on and I've gone, why are you knitting a skirt? I'm just so self-conscious that it's not my style. So I don't know. It's very simple knitting. I might just keep going again in a circle, but I'm just getting this horrible feeling that this yarn is going to once again be left in a bag in the corner until I can bear to decide what to do with it. So I don't know. What do you think? Should I continue making the skirt and see how it looks when it is longer? Or do I just admit defeat and frog it back again and put it in a corner to sit until I'm ready to do something with this yarn? It's a really lovely yarn and I think that the colours suit me for potentially a jumper, but I kind of don't want to make more jumpers right now. I wanted to expand a little bit and make new things, and it's nearly summer, so who wants to make a jumper in summer? It's really thick. It kept me warm actually last night when we were out with a fire pit, and it was getting a bit nippy as the sun had gone down, but in the middle of summer it's not going to be cold, and I'm going to have this potentially on my lap trying to knit with it, and it's so heavy. So once again I'm just disappointed in my attempts to make something with this yarn. So it's, for my one whip, it's a little bit of a disappointing showing. So all I can think of instead is trying to work out what to do next. So I think I mentioned in a previous podcast recently that I had got myself a new journal that I have dedicated to recording my knitting and making plans, and I'm using a slight variation on Knitty Natty's planning, where she sort of brain dumps a bunch of things that she wants to do that year, and then she looks at the months that are left in the year and tries to distribute things around events that she has. Now, I don't have any massive events that are knitting related that would change what I would make. I don't participate in things like sock weeks or advent calendar making. I have bought 2 advent calendars though, so that's coming up when they arrive later in the year. But I don't do advent making as soon as I get my advent calendar. So mine's a little bit more working around when my other life things happen, right? So when I have events that mean I'm not going to be able to knit an awful lot, I block those in just so that I can make sure that the things I plan in those months are smaller and I don't get disheartened. But it's been really helpful, and somehow I'm ahead of schedule. So yeah, just something about maybe the dopamine kick of being able to cross things off when they're complete, but in this nice tidy way, because this is my knitting journal and it has to be kept tidy. It's not been tidy already because of the cancellation of the cosplay. Things have been crossed off, things have been added. It's already not tidy, and I've realised I'm not very good at keeping to a firm plan if what I want is to cast on something new. So I really made myself work to plan with the Revo, and it worked. I got it finished. I really made myself work to plan when it came to the Northern Ireland banner, and it worked. I got that one finished. But having had those 2 successes, I was a bit like, okay, I already cast on the autumn skirt, so we're already not necessarily following our plan. So yes, that said, we're not really liking the autumn skirt right now, so I might be shifting gears. And one of the things that I put in my plan was actually to frog certain items that have been sat for months waiting to be addressed. And one such thing that I frogged, if you recognise these colours, is my Skyline Tee attempt. So a couple of vlogs ago, I was trying to make the Skyline Tee, but based on looking at the photos and trying to work out the reconstruction of it. And in some ways it was a success because, generally speaking, the right sort of techniques were in place. Unfortunately, my sizing was way off. And I could attempt to go back and reknit it, but I kind of decided I didn't like that in the yarn choice that I had available. This is not all of it. I'm just not going to be able to carry 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other balls of yarn into the shop for you on top of these. But I have wound all of that back now. I need to check how much each of these sections weigh, vaguely try and remember where on the Skyline tee they came from, because then that's probably where they're going to be used in my attempt at something else. And I have a vest pattern in mind. I kind of wanted to do a t-shirt, and I feel like I should have enough to do a t-shirt, but this is a thicker yarn than what I was using for the Revaux. I have the same amount in grams, but that obviously means I won't have the same amount in yardage. But I did have a lot left of the Revaux. It's irrelevant though, because I've decided on a vest now. I like it. It is I think it was a knit 3 purl 3 rib. I'll have to double check that in the pattern when I get started. But one of the things that I could cast on next is this new vest. However, another thing that has been on my list for a while now has been my friend's child's dinosaur scarf, and I don't know why I keep procrastinating this. I was telling myself I'm sure it's because I haven't decided what style of construction I'm going to do. Am I going to try to do an infinity cowl for a young child? Am I going to try and do just a normal scarf for the young child? I don't know how it's going to work up. I don't know how many motifs you can get into an infinity scarf, because I've kind of already told myself that there are 7 motifs that I want to use, and if I do a scarf I can just cycle through them until it is long enough. But if it's not long enough in an infinity cowl, I don't know what I'm going to do to make it longer. So I don't know if it's just that, or if it's because I would have to dig out the right yarn from the shelving and I really can't be bothered right now, or whether it's something else that's just making me not do it, because I'm pulling yarn off for other things and I'm planning other things. I just don't understand why I've not started this scarf. So that's another thing I could cast on and just work to my plan and start getting through it. And the next thing is the Barcelona souvenir. Now, technically the next holiday that we went on was actually Tromsø for Northern Lights hunting. However, I just finished the cowl not too long ago that I was making whilst I was out in Tromsø, and I kind of feel like that's a little bit of enough of that colourway for now. I've done the Revaux, which again was also a hangover from Tromsø or just before Tromsø, and yeah, I'm kind of feeling like I need new things and then come back refreshed for a new Tromsø. So I'm actually skipping that souvenir for now. I'm wanting to focus on the Barcelona one, but that one takes a bit more brain power to think through what techniques I'm going to use to create the sort of kind of vision that's forming in my brain right now. So those are the 3 things I could cast on next: the vest, the dino scarf, or the Barcelona banner. And I will be getting to all of these shortly, but if you have a preference, let me know. I can't say I'll keep to it, but I'm a bit stuck for what to start now. So yeah, put in the comments if you have an opinion on whether I should do the vest, the dino scarf, or the Barcelona banner first. So those are the things that I currently have planned for the next few weeks. So that is everything from me today. Just a little catch up to tell you where I was up to with bits and pieces, because we had a pretty long catch up last time and I just wanted to tell you what the progress was. So yeah, I'm gonna sign off here, get this video edited and uploaded for you all. I hope you are doing very well wherever you are. I hope you're getting some nice weather and enjoying the sun, and I will see you soon in another video. Bye for now.